The distress signal came through on every frequency at once. Ambassador Vrel's antennae twitched as the translation matrix decoded the message. Human. A species the Galactic Council barely knew existed. They had achieved faster-than-light travel only 3 cycles ago, practically yesterday in galactic terms. A colony ship, Vrel said, his mandibles clicking softly as he reviewed the data. Engine failure. 50,000 souls aboard. They request assistance. The council chamber buzzed with conversation. The Kresh, Vrel's people, were the most diplomatic of the council races. The silver-skinned Thalari whispered among themselves. The massive Dronthi delegates shifted their bulk, making the floor tremble slightly. We should help them, Vrel argued. They are new to the stars. This could be our chance to welcome humanity properly into the galactic community. Or it could be a waste of resources, Council Member Thex replied, his Thalari features cold. What do we know of humans? They exploded their way into space with crude fusion drives. They have been involved in 3 wars on their homeworld just in the past 100 cycles. All the more reason to guide them, Vrel insisted. Without our help, they may never survive out here. After much debate, the council agreed. Vrel's fleet would be dispatched. 6 ships, some of the finest vessels in council space. They jumped to hyperspace expecting to find a small shuttle, perhaps 100 meters long, limping through the void. What they found instead made Vrel's blood run cold. The Perseverance hung in space like a small moon. 2 kilometers from stem to stern, its hull was thick and scarred. It looked less like a civilian vessel and more like a fortress that someone had attached engines to. Massive cylindrical sections rotated slowly, generating artificial gravity. Solar panels stretched out like wings, kilometers wide. By the ancestors, Vrel whispered. That is their shuttle? Scanning now, his science officer reported. Ambassador, I am detecting what appear to be weapons ports. Missile tubes, point defense systems, energy weapon arrays. On a colony ship, Vrel's antennae flattened against his head, a sign of deep concern among the Kresh. The humans are hailing us, communications reported. The view screen flickered to life. A human woman appeared, her skin dark, her hair pulled back tightly. She wore a simple uniform, but her eyes held the weight of someone who had seen much. This is Captain Rebecca Torres of the colony ship Perseverance. We thank you for responding to our distress call. Our main engines are offline. We have backup power, but we need help with repairs. Captain Torres, Vrel replied, trying to keep his voice steady. I am Ambassador Vrel of the Galactic Council. We are here to assist. Your vessel is quite large for a colony ship. Torres smiled slightly. We are carrying 50,000 colonists plus supplies for establishing a new settlement. We need the space. Is something wrong, Ambassador? Your ship appears to be armed, Vrel said carefully. Torres looked confused. Yes, of course. We are traveling through unknown space. Standard safety protocols require defensive capabilities. You do not arm your colony ships? Vrel's translator struggled with the concept. In council space, civilian vessels were never armed. Military escorts protected them if needed. The idea of arming a ship full of families and children seemed barbaric. We will discuss this later, Vrel said. For now, let us help you with repairs. May we send over engineering teams? Absolutely. We appreciate the help, Ambassador. Over the next several days, Vrel's engineers worked alongside the humans. The ambassador took the opportunity to tour the Perseverance. What he saw troubled him deeply. The ship was not just armed. It was armored. Bulkheads were reinforced. Emergency shelters dotted every section. Medical bays that could handle mass casualties. Everything about the ship spoke of a people who expected violence. Why do you build your ships this way? Vrel asked Captain Torres as they walked through one of the residential sections. Human children played in the corridors, laughing and running, unaware of the weapons systems hidden in the walls around them. Torres was quiet for a moment. Ambassador, humanity learned a long time ago that the universe does not care about us. We have to care about ourselves. Every ship we build to last. We build to protect, because when you are far from home and something goes wrong, no one is coming to save you. You save yourself. But you called for help, Vrel pointed out. Yes, Torres agreed, and we are grateful. But we did not expect anyone to answer. We hoped, but we did not expect. That is the difference between us and you, I think. You expect the universe to be kind. We know it is not. That night, Vrel could not rest. He reviewed the data his ship had collected. The Perseverance was indeed just a colony ship, but it was more powerful than some military vessels in the Council fleet. If this was what humans considered appropriate for civilians, what did their actual warships look like? He accessed the human data networks, information they had freely shared. He searched for terms, military, warship, fleet. What he found made his stomach turn. The Perseverance was not even close to being a warship. Humans classified their vessels in categories: frigates, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, battleships, and finally, dreadnoughts. He pulled up images. A human frigate, the smallest class of military vessel, was twice the size of the Perseverance. The classifications went up from there, each category larger and more heavily armed than the last. Vrel felt a chill run through his carapace. The Council's most powerful dreadnought, the Pride of Thalari, would barely qualify as a human corvette. And according to the data, humans had hundreds of military vessels spread across their space. Ambassador, his communications officer interrupted his thoughts. We are receiving new hyperspace signatures. Multiple contacts. They match human vessel classifications. The colony ship's escort, Vrel guessed. Yes, sir. 3 vessels. They are designated as frigates. Vrel pulled up the visual feed as the human ships emerged from hyperspace. Each one was enormous, dwarfing his entire fleet. Sleek and deadly, bristling with weapons. These were their smallest military ships. Their escorts. The Council fleet immediately went to battle stations. Alarms blared. The other Council captains were demanding to know what was happening. Stand down, Vrel ordered, though his own hands trembled. Those are the Perseverance's escorts. They are not hostile. Ambassador, Council member Thex appeared on the screen, his silver face pale. Those ships are bigger than anything we have ever built. And you say they are escorts? Yes, Vrel said quietly. They are frigates, the smallest class in the human fleet. The silence on the channel spoke volumes. The Council had expected a shuttle. Instead, they had found a fortress. And now they understood. If they feared this one damaged colony ship and its escorts, they would never survive meeting what else humanity had built among the stars. The 3 human frigates moved with grace that seemed impossible for vessels their size. The lead ship, designated UHSV Indomitable, was 3 times the length of the Perseverance and looked like it was built for one purpose only: war. Vrel watched from his command deck as the frigates took up defensive positions around the colony ship. Their movements were precise, coordinated. These crews knew what they were doing. Ambassador, his tactical officer reported, voice shaking. Those vessels are armed with weapons we have never seen before. Nuclear missile batteries, railgun arrays, energy weapons that read off our scales, and their shields are active, very active. They are not targeting us, Vrel said, more to calm himself than his crew. They are simply being cautious. Being cautious looks terrifying when you have that much firepower, the officer muttered. A communication request came through from the Indomitable. Vrel accepted it immediately. A human woman appeared on screen. She was younger than Captain Torres, with short red hair and sharp green eyes. Her uniform was different, more military, with rank insignia that Vrel's database identified as captain. Ambassador Vrel, I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Human Space Vessel Indomitable. Thank you for assisting the Perseverance. We came as quickly as we could when we received word of their engine failure. Captain Chen, Vrel replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Your arrival was quite sudden. My fleet went to alert status. Perhaps in the future more advance warning would be helpful. Chen looked genuinely surprised. Ambassador, we transmitted our arrival coordinates 30 minutes before we jumped. Did you not receive them? Vrel checked with his communications officer, who shook his head. We received no such transmission, Captain. Interesting, Chen said, making a note on a device in front of her. Our systems show the transmission was sent. We will need to look into our communication compatibility. We would not want any misunderstandings, especially given the circumstances. Given the circumstances? Vrel asked. Chen's expression became serious. Ambassador, I believe it is time we were honest with you. May I come aboard your vessel? This conversation would be better held in person. An hour later, Captain Chen sat across from Vrel in his private quarters. She had arrived with 2 guards, both of whom carried weapons that made Vrel's security team nervous. The guards now waited outside while Chen and Vrel talked. Ambassador, what do you know about why humanity is colonizing so far from Earth? Chen asked. We assumed it was simple expansion, Vrel said. You achieved faster than light travel and wanted to explore. Many species do this. We are not exploring, Ambassador. We are running. The words hung in the air between them. Vrel felt his antennae twitch. Running? From what? Chen pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. A holographic display appeared, showing a region of space Vrel did not recognize. 8 years ago, we made first contact with a species we call the Devourers. They appeared on the edge of our solar system without warning. We tried to communicate. They did not respond. They simply attacked. The hologram showed massive ships, organic-looking, like they had been grown rather than built. They moved through space in swarms, attacking human vessels with weapons that seemed to tear apart matter itself. We learned quickly that the Devourers do not negotiate. They do not take prisoners. They consume. Entire worlds. Everything organic. They turn it all into more of themselves. More ships. More weapons. More hunger. Vrel watched in horror as the hologram showed human worlds being attacked. Cities burning. Ships exploding. How did you escape? We fought, Chen said simply. We threw everything we had at them. Every ship. Every weapon. We held them at the edge of our system for 3 years. It cost us millions of lives. Half our fleet. But it bought time for ships like the Perseverance to be built and loaded. Time for people to escape. And Earth? Vrel asked, though he already knew the answer. Gone, Chen said quietly, along with Mars, Europa, Titan, all of our colonies in the Sol system. The last thing our rearguard did was destroy all the navigation data showing where our colony ships went. The Devourers consumed our worlds, but they could not track where we fled to. Vrel sat back, his mind racing. This explained everything, why human ships were so heavily armed, why even civilian vessels looked like warships. They were a people who had been fighting for survival. Why are you telling me this now? He asked. Chen's expression hardened. Because my long-range sensors just detected something. Hyperspace signatures matching Devourer vessels. 30 of them. They are heading directly for us. Vrel's blood went cold. How? You said you destroyed the navigation data. We did. But the Devourers are hunters. They must have picked up our trail somehow. Perhaps they detected the Perseverance's distress signal. Perhaps they have been searching this entire region of space. It does not matter now. They are coming. And we need to leave immediately. Leave? Vrel stood up. Captain, the Perseverance's engines are not yet repaired. The ship cannot jump to hyperspace. I know, Chen said. Which is why my ships will stay and hold them off while you tow the Perseverance to safety. 3 ships against 30? Vrel's voice cracked. That is suicide. No, Ambassador. That is buying time. Your tow cables can pull the Perseverance faster than she can move on her backup engines. You can get 50,000 people to safety. That is worth 3 ships. Worth 3 ships? Vrel repeated. Captain, those are 3 of your frigates. Your crews. Chen stood to leave. Ambassador, we lost Earth. We lost billions of people. If 3 ships and their crews can save 50,000 more, then that is a trade we make. Every time. Without question. That is what it means to be human. Before Vrel could respond, alarms began blaring throughout his ship. The tactical display lit up with new contacts. The Devourers had arrived early. Chen moved quickly to the door, her guards falling in beside her. She looked back at Vrel one last time. Get the Perseverance out of here, Ambassador. We will hold them as long as we can. Captain Chen, Vrel called out. How long can 3 frigates hold against 30 enemy vessels? Chen smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. Long enough, Ambassador. We always find a way to hold long enough. As Chen left, Vrel rushed to his command deck. The view screen showed the Devourer fleet emerging from hyperspace. Their ships were nightmares made real. Organic hulls that pulsed with life, weapons that glowed with sickly green light. They moved like a swarm of insects, coordinated and deadly. The 3 human frigates moved to intercept, forming a defensive line between the Devourers and the Council fleet. They looked impossibly small compared to the enemy force. All ships begin towing operations on the Perseverance, Vrel ordered. We need to jump to hyperspace as soon as possible. Ambassador, his tactical officer said quietly. Should we not stay and help the humans? Vrel wanted to say yes. Every instinct told him to stay and fight. But he looked at the numbers. 30 Devourer vessels against 3 human frigates and 6 council ships. They would all die, and the 50,000 humans aboard the Perseverance would die with them. No, Vrel said, the word tasting like ash in his mouth. We follow Captain Chen's orders. We save the Perseverance. As the tow cables connected and the Council fleet began pulling the massive colony ship away, the battle began and Vrel watched, unable to look away, as 3 human frigates went to war against an enemy that had destroyed Earth itself. He had thought the human ships looked terrifying when they arrived. Now he understood. They were not meant to terrify him. They were meant to terrify humanity's enemies. And as the first missiles launched and the first railguns fired, Vrel realized that perhaps, just perhaps, 30 Devourer ships might not be enough. The Devourer ships moved like a plague across space. Their biomechanical hulls pulsed with corrupt life, and their weapons charged with energy that seemed to warp the very fabric of reality around them. Vrel had never seen anything so terrifying. The human frigates did not run. They did not hesitate. They accelerated directly toward the enemy swarm. Are they insane? Council member Thex demanded over the communication channel. 3 ships against 30? They are throwing their lives away. No, Vrel said quietly, watching his tactical display. They are buying us time. Keep pulling the Perseverance. We need another 10 minutes before we can jump safely. The first human frigate, the Indomitable, opened fire at maximum range. Nuclear missiles streaked through space by the hundreds. Railgun rounds followed, moving at a significant fraction of light speed. Energy beams lanced out, burning across the void. The Devourers returned fire with their bioweapons. Green beams that dissolved matter on contact. Organic missiles that seemed to seek their targets with predatory intelligence. The space between the two forces became a storm of fire and death. Multiple hits on the lead Devourer vessels. Vrel's tactical officer reported, his voice filled with disbelief. Ambassador, 3 of them are breaking apart. The humans destroyed 3 ships in the opening volley. Vrel watched in amazement. In Council space, battles were usually decided by negotiation long before the first shot was fired. When violence did occur, it was brief and limited. He had never seen anything like the ferocity of human weapons, but the Devourers had numbers on their side. For every ship the humans destroyed, 5 more pressed forward. Bioweapons began hitting the human shields, eating away at their protective barriers. The Indomitable's shields are down to 60%, the tactical officer reported. The other 2 frigates are at similar levels. Ambassador, they cannot sustain this for long. Captain Chen's voice came over the open channel, broadcasting to all ships. All vessels, this is Chen. Switch to formation Delta 7. Time to show these things why humanity survived. The 3 human frigates suddenly changed their approach. Instead of maintaining their defensive line, they split apart, each one diving toward the Devourer swarm from a different angle. Their weapons never stopped firing. What are they doing? Thex asked. They are breaking formation. They will be surrounded. No, Vrel said, beginning to understand. They are not trying to hold a line. They are trying to divide the enemy force. The Devourers took the bait. Their swarm broke apart, pursuing each of the 3 human ships. But this was exactly what the humans wanted. In smaller groups, the Devourers could not concentrate their fire as effectively. The Indomitable led 10 Devourer ships on a deadly chase through space. Captain Chen's frigate moved with impossible agility for something so large, dodging fire while simultaneously launching missiles from every angle. When the Devourers got too close, the Indomitable's point defense systems opened up, filling space with thousands of rounds per second. 2 more Devourer ships exploded. Then 3 more. The human ships were taking damage, their hulls scorched and scarred. But they kept fighting with a determination that seemed almost mechanical. This is impossible, Thex whispered. No one fights like this. No one takes these kinds of risks. They have nothing left to lose, Vrel realized. Earth is gone. Their colonies are gone. These people are fighting not just for the Perseverance, but for the survival of their entire species. They cannot afford to lose, so they fight as if they have already died. The battle continued for 8 more minutes. 8 minutes of the most intense combat Vrel had ever witnessed. The humans used tactics that would make any Council military officer resign in horror. They rammed Devourer ships when they ran out of missiles. They detonated their own damaged weapon systems to create explosions that caught enemy vessels in the blast. They fought with every tool and trick they had. One of the frigates, the Dauntless, took a direct hit to its main reactor. The ship began to lose power. Instead of retreating, its captain drove it directly into the largest cluster of Devourer ships and overloaded the reactor. The explosion was visible even from where the Council fleet was pulling the Perseverance. A miniature star bloomed in space, consuming the Dauntless and 7 Devourer ships in nuclear fire. No, Vrel whispered. They sacrificed themselves. Hyperspace drives are ready, his navigator reported. We can jump now. Not yet, Vrel said. We wait. The humans are still fighting for us. The remaining 2 human frigates regrouped. They were both heavily damaged, leaking atmosphere and energy. But they positioned themselves between the remaining Devourer ships and the Council fleet one last time. Council fleet, this is Captain Chen. You need to jump now. We have destroyed or damaged 23 of their vessels, but the rest are still coming. Get the Perseverance to safety. That is an order. Captain Chen, Vrel responded. What about you? There was a pause. Then Chen's voice came back, tired but determined. We will follow when we can. If we cannot, then we will make sure the Devourers remember this day. Remember us, Ambassador. Remember what we did here. And when you meet other humans, tell them the Indomitable and the Valiant held the line. I will, Vrel promised. I will tell them. All ships, jump now, Vrel ordered. The Council fleet and the Perseverance entered hyperspace together. The last thing Vrel saw before the jump was the 2 human frigates, battered and burning, charging forward to engage the remaining Devourer vessels in one final clash. The journey through hyperspace was silent. No one spoke. The Council crews were in shock at what they had witnessed. Captain Torres from the Perseverance contacted Vrel an hour into the journey. Ambassador, I wanted to thank you for helping us, and for trying to save Captain Chen and her crews. I am sorry we could not do more, Vrel said. Your people saved us all. I have never seen such courage. Torres was quiet for a moment. Ambassador, there is something you should know. After we jump, ships can sometimes still communicate for a short time using tachyon bursts. I received a final message from Captain Chen just before we lost contact. What did she say? She said they destroyed the last of the Devourer ships. The Indomitable and the Valiant are both heavily damaged, but they survived. They are making emergency repairs and will follow us to Council space. Vrel felt relief wash over him. They survived? Against all those ships? We are human, Ambassador, Torres said simply. We survive. That is what we do best. Captain Chen also asked me to apologize for worrying you. She said next time she will bring more ships so you do not have to watch such a close fight. A close fight? Vrel repeated incredulously. 3 ships against 30? Those were just scouts, Ambassador. Small Devourer vessels. When we fought at Earth, we faced their main fleet. Thousands of ships. We held them for 3 years. 30 scouts? That was just a warm-up for Captain Chen. After the conversation ended, Vrel sat alone in his quarters trying to process everything. Humanity had fought an enemy that destroyed their homeworld. They had fought for years against impossible odds. And now, scattered across the galaxy in colony ships and frigates, they were still fighting, still surviving. The Council had existed for thousands of years. They had built a civilization based on peace, cooperation, and careful negotiation. Violence was the last resort, used only when all other options failed. But humanity was different. They had learned to fight first and talk later. Not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Because something out there in the darkness had forced them to become warriors or die. And now that warrior species had just saved the Galactic Council. Vrel wondered what that meant for the future. He wondered if the Council was ready for what humanity would become. Because if humans could fight like that with just 3 frigates, what would they do with a real fleet? What would they do if they ever found a world to call home again and had time to build? The thought both terrified and comforted him in equal measure. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Every member species sent their highest-ranking representatives. The humans had requested an emergency session, and after what happened with the Devourers, no one dared refuse. Vrel stood at his position, his antennae twitching nervously. Across the chamber, he could see the fear and uncertainty on the faces of his fellow council members. Some species were calling for the humans to be turned away. Others wanted to welcome them. The council was more divided than it had been in centuries. Captain Sarah Chen entered the chamber with Captain Rebecca Torres at her side. Both humans wore formal uniforms, clean and pressed despite everything they had been through. Behind them walked 2 guards, though Vrel noticed they carried no visible weapons. A gesture of peace, perhaps, or confidence that they did not need weapons here. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Chen began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. We come before you today not as conquerors or invaders, but as refugees seeking shelter. We ask for your help. In return, we offer our service. Service? Councilmember Thex spoke up, his silver skin gleaming under the chamber lights. What service can you offer that we need? We have maintained peace for 300 years without military force. You maintained peace because nothing threatened you, Chen replied calmly. But the Devourers do not care about your peace. They will find council space eventually. When they do, you will need someone who knows how to fight them. We do not solve problems with violence, another council member, a Dronthi named Gorn, rumbled. We believe in negotiation, in finding common ground. The Devourers cannot be negotiated with, Torres said firmly. We tried. They do not communicate. They do not bargain. They consume everything, everyone. If you think you can talk to them, you are welcome to try, but have a backup plan ready because you will fail. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some council members demanded the humans show more respect. Others argued that the humans were warmongers trying to frighten them. Vrel stood and raised his hands for silence. Please let them speak. We owe them that much. They saved the Perseverance. They fought the Devourers so we could escape. The least we can do is listen. The chamber quieted slowly. Chen nodded her thanks to Vrel and continued. We are not asking you to change who you are. We respect your ways, your peace, but we are what we are as well. We are survivors. We are fighters. We have learned the hard way that sometimes the only way to protect peace is to be willing to fight for it. What exactly are you proposing? Vrel asked. Chen pulled up a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed a star system on the edge of council space. We ask for this world. It is uninhabited. The survey reports say it is marginally suitable for colonization. Give us this world and we will settle there. We will build our homes, our lives. But we will also build defenses. Not just for us, but for all of you. You want to build a military base on the edge of our territory? Thex demanded. We want to build a shield, Chen corrected. A line of defense between you and the Devourers. Between you and anything else that might threaten council space. You focus on peace, on diplomacy, on building your civilization. Let us focus on protecting it. And what do you get from this arrangement? Gorn asked suspiciously. A home, Torres said simply. A place to rebuild. To raise our children. To live without running. That is all we want. A chance to stop being refugees and start being people again. And if we refuse? Another council member asked. Chen met their gaze steadily. Then we move on. We keep searching for a place to call home. But understand this. The Devourers are coming. They found us once, they will find us again. And when they do, they will find you too, whether we are here to help or not. The chamber fell silent. The weight of that statement hung heavy in the air. Vrel looked around at his fellow council members and saw the same fear reflected in their eyes. The fear of the unknown. The fear of change. But also the fear of facing the Devourers alone. I move that we vote, Vrel said. All in favor of granting the humans their request speak now. The vote was close. Closer than Vrel expected. But in the end, fear of the Devourers outweighed fear of humanity. The motion passed by 3 votes. The council grants you the world you request, Vrel announced formally. From this day forward, it shall be known as New Terra. We welcome humanity as protectors of council space. Chen and Torres both bowed respectfully. Thank you, council. We will not fail you. As the humans left the chamber, Vrel heard Thex mutter to another council member. We have invited a wolf into our home. I hope we do not regret this. They are not wolves, Vrel replied, though he had not been meant to hear. They are sheepdogs. There is a difference. Wolves hunt the flock. Sheepdogs protect it. We will see which one humans truly are. 3 months passed. The Perseverance and its escorts arrived at New Terra and began the process of colonization. Vrel visited once during this time and was amazed at what he saw. The humans worked with incredible speed and efficiency. Temporary shelters became permanent buildings within weeks. Mining operations extracted resources from the planet and its asteroid belt. Factories began producing goods. But it was the orbital construction that caught Vrel's attention. Massive shipyards hung in space above New Terra. The humans were building new vessels. Not just civilian ships, but military ones. Frigates like the ones that had saved them. And larger ships too. Much larger. Captain Chen gave him a tour of the facilities. We are not wasting any time, Ambassador. Every day we spend building is a day closer to when the Devourers find us again. We need to be ready. You are building a fleet, Vrel observed. We are building a defense network, Chen corrected. Ships are just one part of it. We are also placing weapons platforms throughout this sector. Early warning systems, minefields, automated defense stations. If the Devourers come, they will have to fight through multiple layers of protection before they even reach New Terra or Council space beyond it. Some on the Council are concerned, Vrel admitted. They worry that humanity is becoming too powerful, too militaristic. Chen stopped walking and turned to face him. Ambassador, I understand their concerns. We do look aggressive compared to the Council's peaceful ways. But please understand, we are not building this fleet to conquer. We are building it because we cannot let what happened to Earth happen again. We cannot lose another world, another people. We will do whatever it takes to survive and to protect those we have promised to defend. I believe you, Vrel said, but others may not. You need to show them that you are not a threat. We are showing them exactly what we are, Chen replied. We are people who keep our promises. We promise to protect Council space. We are doing that. If they cannot see the difference between protection and aggression, that is their problem, not ours. Before Vrel could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the orbital facility. Chen's communicator lit up with urgent messages. What is it? Vrel asked. Chen's face broke into a wide smile. Ambassador, you asked what would happen if the Council gave us time to build. You are about to find out. Our deep space sensors just detected 6 more human colony fleets. They survived. They found us, and they are coming home. 6 more fleets? Vrel felt his antennae go rigid with shock. How many ships? How many people? Millions, Ambassador. And they are not coming empty-handed. Each fleet has been building their own ships, gathering their own resources, preparing for the day when we could reunite. Humanity is not just 3 frigates and 1 colony ship anymore. Vrel looked out at the shipyards, at the weapons being built, at the humans working with such determination. He thought about the Council's fear of humanity becoming too powerful, and he realized that fear was already obsolete. Humanity was not becoming powerful. They already were. They had been from the moment they decided to survive the Devourers. The Council had not created a military power by welcoming humanity. They had simply given that power a reason to protect them instead of moving on. The question now was not whether humanity would become strong enough to defend Council space. The question was whether the Council could handle having guardians this powerful, whether they could accept that sometimes peace required people willing to wage war in its defense. Vrel suspected the answer would determine the future of the entire galaxy. 2 years had passed since humanity arrived at New Terra. Vrel stood at the observation deck of his ship looking down at the world below, and barely recognized it. New Terra had transformed from an empty frontier world into a thriving hub of human civilization. Cities sprawled across 3 continents. Massive industrial complexes processed raw materials day and night. Agricultural zones fed millions. And above it all, the orbital shipyards had grown into structures so vast they could be seen from the planet's surface with the naked eye. The 6 additional human colony fleets had arrived over the past year, each one adding to the population and industrial capacity. New Terra now housed over 15 million humans, and they had been busy. It is remarkable, is it not? Admiral Sarah Chen said, joining Vrel at the window. She had been promoted after the battle with the Devourers, now commanding the entire human defense fleet in this sector. Remarkable and terrifying, Vrel admitted. Your people have built more in 2 years than some Council species build in decades. We build fast because we have to, Chen said. Every ship, every weapon, every defense system, they all bring us one step closer to being ready. Ready for what? Chen gestured to the viewport. Come, let me show you what we have been building. They took a shuttle to the largest orbital shipyard. As they approached, Vrel saw dozens of ships in various stages of construction. Frigates, destroyers, cruisers, each one larger and more powerful than the last. But it was the vessel in the central dock that made his breath catch. The ship was enormous. 15 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull was thick armor plating, studded with weapon systems. Massive engines glowed with barely contained power. Hangar bays large enough to hold entire frigates dotted its flanks. A dreadnought, Vrel whispered. You built a dreadnought, the first of her class, Chen said with pride. We are calling her the Earth Remembered. She is our statement to the universe. Earth may be gone, but humanity is not. We remember. We endure, and we will never let what happened to our homeworld happen again. The Council will be alarmed, Vrel said quietly. The Council has been alarmed since the day we arrived, Chen replied. Some of them still think we are a threat, that we are building this fleet to conquer them. But you know better, Ambassador. You have seen what we face, I do, Vrel agreed. But others do not share my view. There are calls in the Council to limit your expansion, to restrict your shipbuilding. They can call all they want, Chen said firmly. We made a deal. You gave us a world. We promised to defend Council space. We are keeping that promise. If the Council wants to break the deal, they are welcome to try. But they should understand that we are not the refugees they rescued anymore. We are something else now. What are you? Vrel asked. We are the shield, Chen said simply. We are the line that the darkness does not cross. And soon we will be more than that. Soon we will be the sword that strikes back. Before Vrel could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Chen's communicator lit up with urgent messages. She listened for a moment, her expression growing grave. It is time, she said. Time for what? The Devourers. Our deep space sensors detected a massive fleet entering Council space. Not scouts this time. Their main armada. Thousands of ships. They are moving toward the Council core worlds. Vrel felt his blood run cold. Thousands? The Council has no defense against that. We must evacuate. We must run. No, Chen said calmly. We stand and fight. This is what we have been preparing for. You cannot fight thousands of Devourer ships, even with everything you have built. We do not have to fight them alone, Chen said, a slight smile on her face. Come to the command center. There is something you need to see. They rushed to the orbital command center. The main display showed the Devourer fleet approaching. It was massive, stretching across light years. Their biomechanical ships moved like a plague, consuming everything in their path. But Chen was not looking at the Devourer fleet. She was looking at another display, one showing defensive positions throughout Council space. Over the past 2 years, we have been doing more than just building ships, Chen explained. We have placed weapons platforms at every major hyperspace junction between here and the Council core. Minefields in strategic locations, automated defense stations with long-range sensors and weapons. The Devourers think they are entering undefended space. They are wrong. But even with all that, you cannot stop thousands of ships, Vrel protested. We are not trying to stop them everywhere, Chen said. We are hurting them, forcing them to take specific routes, leading them into kill zones where our defenses are strongest. And when they finally reach the final line, they will find us waiting. Chen activated another display. It showed the human fleet assembling. 200 ships of various classes. Frigates, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and at the center, the Earth remembered. It was still being fitted out, not quite complete. But Chen was activating it anyway. We are deploying everything we have, Chen said. Every ship, every weapon, every person who can fight. We are making our stand here, Ambassador. If the Devourers want Council space, they will have to go through humanity first. You are going to die, Vrel said, his voice breaking. All of you. Maybe, Chen admitted. But we will make them pay for every meter of space, every second of time. And if we buy enough of both, the Council can evacuate their most important worlds, can save billions of lives. That is worth dying for. The battle lasted 7 days. 7 days of the most brutal combat the galaxy had ever witnessed. The Devourers entered Council space expecting easy prey. Instead, they found a prepared enemy. The first wave hit the human minefields and weapons platforms. Hundreds of Devourer ships exploded before they even knew what hit them. The second wave made it through, but found automated defense stations waiting. The stations died, but not before taking dozens more enemy vessels with them. The third wave reached the human fleet. And that is when the real battle began. Vrel watched from a Council observation post far from the fighting but with access to all sensor data. He watched as human ships fought with a ferocity that defied belief. They used every tactic, every strategy, every weapon in their arsenal. When shields failed, they used armor. When armor failed, they rammed enemy ships. When ships were too damaged to fight, they overloaded their reactors and turned themselves into bombs. The humans fought as if they had nothing left to lose. Because they did not. New Terra was their last home, their final refuge. They would not let it fall. The Earth remembered led the charge. The massive dreadnought tore through Devourer formations like a blade through cloth. Its weapon systems fired constantly. Its hangar bays launched fighter after fighter. Its presence on the battlefield rallied the other human ships, gave them courage. For 7 days the battle raged. Human ships were destroyed. Crews were lost. But the line held. And slowly, impossibly, the tide began to turn. The Devourers had never faced an enemy like humanity. They were used to overwhelming their opponents with numbers and ferocity. But humans matched their ferocity and used intelligence to counter their numbers. Every human casualty cost the Devourers 10 ships. Every human sacrifice bought time for their comrades to reposition, to strike back harder. On the 7th day, the Devourer fleet broke. What remained of their armada retreated back into deep space, pursued by human ships until they left Council territory entirely. The victory had cost humanity dearly. Half their fleet was destroyed or too damaged to repair. Thousands of crew members were dead. The Earth remembered itself was heavily scarred, sections of its hull torn open to space, but they had won. Against impossible odds, humanity had held the line. They had saved Council space. The Vrel stood before the Galactic Council once more. This time there were no debates, no arguments. Every council member stood as one as Admiral Chen entered the chamber. "Admiral Chen," Vrel said formally, "on behalf of the Galactic Council, we thank you. You and your people saved us all. You kept your promise." "We did what we said we would do," Chen replied. "We defended Council space. But the war is not over. The Devourers will come back. They always do. We need to be ready." "Then we will be ready together," Vrel said. "The Council formally recognizes humanity as protectors of our civilization. We grant you full membership, and we offer our resources to help you rebuild your fleet." Chen smiled. "Thank you, Ambassador. But we do not need charity. We need partners. The Council has technology we lack, scientific knowledge, cultural wisdom. If you truly want to help, share that with us. Teach us, learn from us. Together, we can build something stronger than either of us alone." "Agreed," Vrel said. Months later, Vrel visited New Terra one final time before returning to his homeworld. The planet was already recovering from the battle. New ships were being built. Damaged vessels were being repaired. The humans were doing what they did best, surviving, adapting, growing stronger. He stood at a memorial that the humans had erected in the capital city. It was a simple black stone wall inscribed with names, thousands of them. Every human who had died fighting the Devourers. From Earth to New Terra, from the first battle to the last. At the top of the memorial, in every language of the Council, were words that made Vrel's chest tighten with emotion.